Tune right in. Think we should be good to go.
Time and time again. And
All
just
right.
keep going. But Democrats are at 86, except for the people that run the Democrat Party because they want to try and win elections illegally. It's the only reason you vote against voter ID is because you want to cheat. There's no other reason. They come up with reasons. They say, it's racist. That's their number one, racist.
Yeah, that's so true.
They're just sitting there mumbling. They can't explain it.
There we go.
And it's actually very insulting when they use the term racist. Very insulting.
Yeah, they definitely abuse it, don't they? They abuse that term. See it a lot.
Then I wanted to add two more to it because they're, I say 95%, maybe 100%. No men in women's sports. Very simple. Add that in.
So I'm looking for Trump to be really talking about how we're not going to be going to war with Iran. And again, we're kind of late to this because Trump kind of hopped in and kind of an unexpected speech here, press conference. But again, he has been pro-Iran war pretty much. Again, we're going to cover all the highlights. If you're tuning in, we're going to cover on everything that Trump has already talked about. But we're going to be looking on Twitter X also later at some of the highlights that's going down with this entire event. So let's check this out. Let's continue listening.
No mail-in ballots, right? We don't want men playing in women's sports. That's got to be about close to 100%. We don't want men playing in women's sports and no transgender mutilation of our children.
Without parental consent?
That should be the easiest thing to get past that you've ever had. Each one.
With parental consent, though, Trump said he was going to change these rules to parental consent. Can you believe that?
I wouldn't put him in that category.
Crazy.
This is the number one priority. It should be for the House. And I'd like to ask Tom, Steve, Mike, all of you, if you would, I'd like to have you go back and Lisa, hello, darling. She was screaming her affirmation of what I said. The kid went wild. She was so happy that somebody finally said.
Again, I'm hoping to hear Trump really talk about against the war with Iran. From the clips I've seen, Trump has been really pro-war with Iran. He's been doubling down on everything, so it's not really looking good. The sentiment has not been high, but we're going to continue listening to what's going on now, what he's saying now, his remarks now, and then we're going to come back and look later at Twitter X and what the community has to say on X.
It's very, very hard to cheat. Another thing, and I don't even bring this up, it costs 7% the cost of those crazy machines. You know, I love the machines where they get the machines, they spend all this money, and they announce during the election that the tabulation will go along for another 3 weeks.
Trump's starting to hit the same talking points that he regularly does, talking about the stolen election, which I do believe was stolen. Through Dominion voting systems. I think that was a big reason as to why we ended up invading Venezuela also, is because Maduro had a lot of information on the stolen election, allegedly. What do you think Trump's going to... I wonder what Trump's going to say about crypto, XRP, the Clarity Act, or if he's already said stuff. We're going to be looking through some clips later for sure.
Send a bill up to the Senate, we're going for the gold. We don't want what was said. The SAVE Act, it was all right. Nobody knew what the hell it was, including me. I kept saying, what's this? Save America Act.
How about America First? I'm talking about America First. I want to see the America First Act.
Nobody has any idea what are we trying to say? It's the Save America Act. If you could send it up in full form, meaning to straight, we will, I think the Senate has to approve it. I really do. I think, and they're going to have to.
If you're tuning in now, Trump's just been pretty much sticking to the same talking points that he typically does during rallies and whatnot. He's trying to get people on the Iran war train.
this done. If it takes you 6 months, I'm for not approving anything. I'm for not approving anything. I don't think we should approve anything until this is approved. And they can't.
Maybe until the Iran war is finished. I don't know.
If you have them in a corner, and they're listening to every word I'm saying, it doesn't matter because they can't win it politically. Because when they say, we don't want voter identification, we don't want proof of citizenship, all these things are just losers for them. And they won't be able to withstand it. Just like at the State of the Union, they started clapping at the end. I said that. And the reason, because politically, you have to stand for these great people.
Yeah, Trump's definitely sticking to the typical talking points, it looks like. It's pro-Iran war is the rhetoric tonight.
And this is an even bigger example. So if I could ask the people in this room to go for the gold. We're going for the gold. We're not going for the bronze. We're not going to sign a watered-down version like it's been set up there. Let's go for the gold, and let's just not accept anything else. I'll tell you what, I'm willing to just sort of say I'm not going to sign anything until this is approved. I really am, but that's how bad it is.
Yeah, he's really refraining from the
You have 4 or 5 senators.
Iran war conversation. Kind of touched on it a little bit. Basically stated that Iran was going to blow Israel off the map if we didn't do anything. Same kind of language and rhetoric that we typically hear, but this is what Trump had stated earlier in this speech.
Voter ID and these things. I don't think the people in this country will stand for it. So I'm making my biggest plea tonight. It'll make you, and I'm not doing it for this reason at all. It'll guarantee the midterms. It'll guarantee the midterms. If you don't get it, big trouble.
I think war with Iran is really going to affect the midterms. I think that's going to be really what affects the midterms. Whether or not Trump ends up pulling back from this war with Iran or whether or not he goes forth.
Every time I go out, Save America, sir, Save America Act. We want the Save America Act, sir. That's all they talk about. They don't talk about housing. They don't talk about anything. That's what they talk about. And if you send it up that you're going to win the midterms at levels that you can't even believe, and you're going to win every election for
I don't know.
I
I don't know if that's going to happen.
Hopefully that won't happen. But I've never been more confident that if we keep these promises and deliver this popular agenda, the American people will stand with us in overwhelming numbers, just as they did in 2024. I heard Mike say it's actually 78 million.
I don't think so. Not if we're going to keep going to war with Iran. I think that's going to be the real deciding factor. What do you guys think about the war with Iran?
First time was great. Second time they cheated like hell. It was COVID. And their cheating was at an inspirational level. We can't let that ever happen again. And then they cheated again in the last election. But
I definitely agree that happened. That definitely happened.
the term I used most was too big to rig. You got to go out. Don't believe, because we had polls having us way up. I said, don't believe the polls. Go out and vote. Make it too big to rig. And that's what happened. Some couple of races they cheated or they got away with it. A couple of Senate races, my opinion. But we have to make it too big to rig, and that's what we did. But we shouldn't have to win an election that way. You'd have a hard time winning elections.
Makes me think about when Trump said, "You'll never have to vote again. Just vote for me this one last time." I kind of wonder what that means today in 2026.
We will make our country safer and stronger and richer and greater than it ever has been before. And I want to say, very importantly, because they would like you not to say this, because this is a terrible thing in their opinion.
Okay.
God bless you and God bless America. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, so we just watched the final remarks from the Trump statement there, and now he's playing the YMCA again. I can't play it here on YouTube just because we're going to get banned if we do, right? So we'll go back on Twitter X, and let's take a look at some of the conversations happening on X and what people are saying about this. There's been some highlights already. We caught this a little bit late just because the Trump kind of came out without really much of an announcement. So let's take a look at some of the highlights. I already bookmarked some of these. And I wanted to just kind of talk about the markets and really what's happening with that as well. But let's look at some of these highlights. So Justin, this is from Nick Sortor on X. President Trump said he was a little upset that our military sunk 46 Iranian ships rather than capturing them because they were high-quality ships. I said, what quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line. I said, why didn't we just capture the ship? We could have just used it. Why didn't we sink them? He said, it was more fun to sink them. So that's kind of what Trump had to say there. Let's take a listen to that. So again, we're going to go through the clips and the highlights of what Trump had to say here, since a lot of this already went down. But I wanted to look at the highlights. I want to look at what Twitter X is saying. That's what, to me, that's where the important conversation is going on. So let's listen to what Trump had to say in this clip.
It's all lying at the bottom of the ocean. 46 ships. Can you believe it?
So yeah, a lot of the speech was pretty much pro Iran war, and that's kind of what we've seen.
In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, "What quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line." I said, "Why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink them?" He said, "It's more fun to sink them." I said, "That's they like it.
See, they're laughing about this, but this is not going to help America long term.
Say it's safer to sink them. I guess it's probably true. But think of it. We got
Yikes.
46
Not good. Not a good look,
after
in my
this.
opinion.
The terrorist leaders are gone. We're counting down the minutes until they will be gone. Think of it. We had leaders, and they're gone. Then we have new leaders, and they're gone. And now nobody has any idea who the people are that are going to be the head of the country.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, so who had a lot to do with that though? Wasn't that us? Wasn't that America? Wasn't that Israel? We all kind of know. So again, President Trump says Iran war is going to be a short-term excursion. So let's listen to this. This is a big statement. Probably has a lot to do with why the oil prices ended up shooting down today, and they went from 110 yesterday down to like 81 today. So it's been a crazy day for the oil market. Maybe this war is going to end in Iran. Who knows?
better, stronger. Our country's doing really well. I mean, at a level that nobody thought. We took a little excursion because we felt we had to do that to get rid of some evil. And I think you'll see it's going to be a short-term excursion. How
I
good
hope
is
so.
our military, right? Amazing.
It's not looking good on Twitter, and we're going to see it. We're going to look through a lot of these different videos that we've been seeing on X. We're going to look through it. It's not looking good for the U.S., but maybe it's all a psyop, right? Maybe Trump's right, or maybe Trump's lying. I think he's lying.
You know, we all together better, stronger.
So there's that clip.
Our country's
And then there was also this clip I wanted to show. Let's zoom in on this. Trump made these statements as well during his little surprise speech.
all lying at the bottom of the ocean.
He's talking about the Iranian
Can you believe it?
Navy there.
In fact, I got a little upset with our people. I said, "What quality of ship? Excellent, sir. Top of the line." I said, "Why did we just capture the ship? We could have used it. Why did we sink
Oh, we kind of
it?"
watched that. All right, we already watched that clip. So as we kind of keep looking through these, there we go. This is the one I was looking for. Sorry about that.
If we didn't do that B-2 attack, Israel would have been wiped out. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks after that.
So this makes me wonder, how much is Trump isolated from the public, from X, from the conversation happening on YouTube, from the conversation happening on social media in general. It makes you wonder, because he really believes that, America is in the interest of this war. And I think that there's a small minority of people who might be on board for this war with Iran, but I don't think that that's a large number at all. And I'm wondering if this is more rhetoric, or if this is just Trump playing his base, like, kind of like he always has. I just see this being a 20-year war, and I don't see this being a positive thing. It's going to really dry up our resources, military, all of our military tech. China's been spying on us already. They're already basically tracking everything we're doing, all of our bases, all of our routines, our military movements. They're studying it. They're collecting the data, and Trump's talking about, like, basically all of this. The White House is posting SpongeBob videos, and all in promotion of this war. How does it help the American taxpayer?
And even now, I think they were looking to take over the Middle East, because when you look, and we have pretty good proof, all of those missiles that were so stupidly aimed at Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, they were all aimed at others, at countries that were sort of like, leave us alone.
Well, that is because Saudi Arabia and Qatar are backing the United States and Israel in an unprovoked war. Okay, we struck Iran first with Israel, with their help, with their assistance, and essentially now Saudi Arabia and Qatar are siding with the U.S. and Israel. So the Iranians see that as betrayal. So that's kind of why that happened.
All right, they were sort of neutral, but they weren't doing. All of a sudden, they're getting hit with missiles, and they could have gone one of two ways. They could have gone toward their side, like we're with you, or they could have gone with our side, and they really went with our side, and they've
I can
helped
see
us
why.
out in a big force. But they got hit. But they were going to be hit with those. Had we not done the B 2 raid, and if we not done this one where we said, nope, it's time to go in, we have to go in, have no choice. Number one, if we
Not
didn't go in,
smart. It
they
wasn't
would have
smart
come in
militarily.
after us because I see the Democrats trying to justify it, and they're failing because the voter on the street is saying it. You got to be kidding.
It's so interesting that what we see happening here with this entire war, because we really have the Democrats who are against everything Trump does, no matter what it is, they'll be against it. Then you have the far right, which is which is interestingly enough, seems to be against the Iran war. Then you have the MAGA base, the old MAGA base, which seems to be kind of supporting Trump through this movement and what they believe is a positive war on Iran. They see this as a Christian Zionism movement. As a Christian, as a Catholic myself, I don't agree with this. I don't think that this is anything close to the Christian vision, but that's just me. Taking religion out of it, this is definitely militarily just really bad for the United States. This isn't really helping the United States. So a lot of big clips that we've been seeing from that entire speech. Again, I kind of caught it late just because Trump was, didn't really see that it was coming. It was kind of a surprise speech, but. So this was Trump's speech again, an hour ago. Hegseth was saying all of this stuff, but then we have all of these videos coming out on X, right? So this happened tonight, and this is ongoing. This is all we pretty much keep hearing and seeing on X and all these different social media platforms. This is really what this is all about. So what this is going to do is cost America a lot of money. Okay. So this was Israel last night. Allegedly, Israel's been cutting off communications from their people, so they can't really talk about what's happening in Tel Aviv. This is supposed to be Tel Aviv. So we don't really know if if a lot of these are true, false. All we can really do is you got to grok a lot of this, right? You got to check the Grokipedia feature. I like to use that. And you got to fact check, right? You got to figure out what's real, what's fake. So Justice Post's Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's March 24th, 2026 statement. 2-minute, 19-second video captures nighttime explosions and fires over cityscape, but visible Chinese signage for China Customs indicates original from a Chinese industrial fireworks incident. So that's interesting, not the Middle East. So look at how easily you can be completely faked out of the facts. Look at that. So we found out that this video that we just saw that Myron Gaines said was in Israel was actually supposedly in a Chinese industrial fireworks. This was a Chinese industrial fireworks incident, not in the Middle East. Okay. So a lot of this is happening and a lot of this is going down. So this is the conversation on X. What do you guys think about the Iran war? What's your comments? Leave a comment. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. All these things are going on, and it's like, how are we all handling it? How are you guys all feeling about it? It's crazy to see where we're going. Jake Lang, he just did his entire protest, and he had a nail bomb thrown at him. It was this nail bomb. So that was pretty crazy. So there's insane amount of news going on. A lot of these videos, we don't know if they're real. We don't know if they're fake. We kind of have to track it, kind of have to monitor the situation closely. So again, this is from Scott Ritter. He has some pretty good geopolitical analysis. So we'll take a good look at that real quick, covering some of these different highlights as we kind of wait for more viral highlights to come out from Trump's speech.
Intelligence, the Iranians are showing an ability to get intelligence information inputs in the morning and strike in the afternoon with deadly effect.
Remember, as all of this is going down, Trump is telling us how great the situation is in Iran and how it's wonderful for America, how America's winning.
And also, they're starting
to
expand their target deck. Remember, they didn't invent the concept of regime change.
Yeah.
That was Israel on day one.
Yeah.
Last night,
right.
The Iranians struck the home of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm.
They killed his brother. They struck the home of Ben Gvir.
Yep.
He's seriously wounded, may not survive. Iran is going to start to take out the totality of Israel's leadership.
That's definitely in their plans.
Conflict. Israel played the regime change game. It's going to be the Israelis that are going to be paying the highest price. The Iranians are no longer
scary stuff.
Gloves. They've taken them off and they're coming in bare knuckle.
They're reporting it. This is interesting. I looked it up as soon as you said it.
Oh no! Why are you laughing?
Is reporting it as Ben Gvir was in a car accident last night.
Uh-oh.
Does that surprise you?
They can report it any way they want. We know that his home is on fire.
Crazy.
Crashed his car in his house.
interesting. I mean, the only reason I just can't help but be amused by this, because it would not surprise me for the BBC to provide cover for a story like this. Yeah,
Interesting.
Now know that the BBC
I didn't even know about that.
overseas are vetted by
Wow.
MI6 before they're allowed to take on their
So Iran bombed Netanyahu's home, killed his brother, according to Scott Ritter on the Sanchez effect, is what that clip is from. That's insane. That's wild. So anyways, let's go back to the entire speech. I want to go through these Trump speech here, and I actually want to watch the whole thing. But first, obviously, I wanted to show you guys a little bit of what's happening on X, a little bit of what's going on with the entire event, right? A little bit about what people were talking about. So now we're going to kind of start this over, and we are going to watch a little bit more of this. Okay. We good to go here? Check, make sure we're still going. Make sure everything's good. Oh, so we've been going through Twitter this whole time, and this thing's not synced up right. Hold on. Fits the screen capture. 1 second. And once I fix this, we are going to watch the entire Trump speech, really all the way through. We're going to kind of give our analysis on it, our reaction, our live, everything, and kind of what we have to say. So what do you guys think about it? What do you guys think about what's going down in the news? What do you guys think about Trump's speech today at the White House or wherever this was at? You got to look it up. Okay. So let's take a look. We're tuning in now. We're back live. We're back up and running. Sorry, we lost some frames there. I wasn't paying attention. But we are going to look through this entire speech, what Trump had to say, and kind of give our reaction because I wasn't able to catch it completely live. We caught a little bit of the beginning. Went through Twitter X. We covered some of what was going on in the algorithm. Now we're going to actually watch the entire Trump speech. So let's find him. Let's figure out where he entered here. And then we're really going to kick off this entire episode. And I'll give my analysis on kind of what I think. I want to give a fresh analysis on kind of what we were seeing with all of this. So without further ado, let's take a look. Again, we're kind of just watching the replay of the Trump event here, but it's important that we watch it. It'll be an important one to set the pace of where things are going with this Iranian war and kind of where we're going. So it looks like we're back up. Finally got, okay, we're good to go now.
Speaker Johnson, and hello to the men and women of one of the most consequential Republican majorities in history. It's not a big majority, but it's just about the most consequential. The job you've done is incredible. And they are members that are warriors and really people that are for the American people, and that's why you're doing well, and I think that's why we're going to continue to do well. We're fighting a little tradition, you know. Historically, the person that wins, Democrat or Republican, wins the presidency for whatever reason.
So yeah, we already went on Twitter X. We kind of looked at some of the videos, and we see that while all of this is going down, this speech happened. This speech pretty much wrapped up literally 5-10 minutes ago. And so we covered X. We went through some of the bigger stories happening with all of this. And now we're going to just actually go through and watch some of the entire thing and react to it.
It doesn't work out, but we've done.
But we know from watching some of the clips on X that Trump is basically pro-Iran war all the way. Really wants to hit hard on that. Really wants to continue going on it.
You made it happen. So with your help and hard work, we're making America great again, and we're doing it much faster than we thought, and it's better, stronger, and our country is doing really well. I mean, at a level that nobody thought. We took a little excursion because we
maybe
felt
from the
we had to do
tariffs
that to get rid of some evil, and
that's a
I
long-term
guess it's gonna be
spectrum.
a short-term excursion. How good is our military, right? Amazing. How good. Short term. Short term. Thank you. They're great. You know, we all together, in my first term, we rebuilt our military. And I didn't know I'd be
Yeah, it was
using
better
so
than
much in
Biden's
the second
military. They
term.
were wearing
We have a
women's
military
clothing and
right
stuff. They really emasculated the Biden military. Oh, sorry, we got
Their
an ad
website
here.
is running a
We're
crazy
watching a
deal right
replay,
now.
so
You can
we
get
got to watch
4
some
packs.
ads. Sorry about that. Gotta love that. Who doesn't love ads in 2026?
Republican leadership team and so many of my friends that are congressmen, some senators. We have some great people in this room. but including Majority Leader, a real brave guy, because I know the real story. I was there that night with him in the hospital when he was given a very small chance of living by a doctor who was very good, by a wife who was desperately in love with him. She cried so much. Because I've seen the other two. I've seen guys at the end of the line, the wives aren't exactly shaken up. When they don't cry, when they have no tears or any sign of tears, this is not a good sign of a great marriage. But he must have a great marriage, because she was just devastated. She was going to lose her guy, but it worked out.
Trump's looking good, though.
The doctor
Looking good,
more
looking fly,
blood
looking
was put
professional.
into him that he's ever seen. He was in big trouble. I looked at him that night and I said goodbye to him, but he made it. He was brave, and look at the way he fought back from so many different things. Steve Scalise.
What do you guys think of Steve Scalise?
Yeah, we have another one, Tom Emmer, who I really got to know over the last few years, and I'll tell you, he's a winner. He's a champion with another great wife. We got good wives up in there. Let's say great wife, fine husband. But
Yeah, so a lot of
Tom
this
is
speech, Trump is pretty much covering the Iran war,
champion.
kind of waiting for him to get into it.
problem, you go to him, he gets
We'll actually
upset.
cover more of the highlights since this is more of a replay. Tried to catch the entire thing live. We caught like the last 10 minutes of it, but it's just mainly because we weren't really able to connect everything as soon as we wanted to. But Trump is up here and he gave his statements on the Iran war, pretty much pro-Iran war, pro all of that. And so that's kind of what was happening there. So what do you guys think about the Iran war? What's going down? This guy walks up to random people in stores and tells them someone nearby wants to go on a date with them. Then he introduces them and they exchange numbers. Okay, whatever. That's stupid. Twitter outs are just full of slop. It's full of slop that's not going to make you smarter, right? So basically, companies pay YouTube to show ads, and we pay YouTube to not show ads. Yeah, literally trying to do a live stream, and then ads are popping up. Powerful explosion reported in Karachi, Iran. So this is new footage. This is 23 minutes ago. And again, we'll start fact check. We got to fact check all of this war footage today. When it comes to all this war footage, you got to Grokpedia everything because everything's just always fake. There's so much fake news. These attacks targeted Iranian oil facilities in Tehran and Karachi, causing apocalyptic fires that lit up the night sky per eyewitness accounts in BBC and Iran international reports. So again, this just happened 23 minutes ago. This is breaking out of Karachi, Iran. So that's happening. Reports from Iran say Karachi and Tehran were struck around 0:15 local time. It's 12:15 a.m. if you didn't know military time. And with witnesses describing unusual explosions producing a bright white flash. So the bombs keep dropping. Bombs are falling. Bombs are flying. People are dying. And there's just violence everywhere. Trump just posted the Kim Clemente prophecy to his Truth Social. Truth shall become a trumpet. This is biblical. So, yeah, I'm already starting to see the Q Army stuff starting to pop up in the algorithm again, which is not good. If you know anything about the Q Army was basically a far-right thing that came from 4chan, and it was a group of people who believed that Trump was in charge and in control of everything, and that there was this military operation called Q, and that basically all of this was a psyop, and that the deep state was basically being unraveled and destroyed with this major, massive plan that Trump was in control of this entire time. So despite all of the madness, all of the craziness, you kept hearing, trust the plan. And then the prophecies and all of these things come out. And they're really trying to push this now because why? They want there to be a war with Iran, and they need there to be a biblical reason for that. Okay, so this is Kim Clemente prophesying about Donald Trump in 2007, though this is still interesting, and so we'll still listen to it. Let's see what you guys have to say. So we'll still listen to a little bit of the prophecy stuff. We'll entertain it, but this really goes to show just exactly the psychology of these politicians, these world leaders, right? They're trying to get people on board with this war with Iran, and they're doing it through, telling people that this is a prophecy. And really, it's all for profit. So this was April 4th, 2007. This was Kim Clemente. He was like a pastor at this evangelical church, and he made a prediction about Trump. So let's listen.
A transfiguration the marketplace, if you wish, into the news media, where Time magazine will have no choice but to say what I want them to say. Newsweek, what I want to say. The View, what I want to say.
It's coming up.
Trump shall become a trumpet, says the Lord.
This is a really interesting prophecy.
Trump shall become a trumpet. I will raise up the Trump to become a trumpet, and Bill Gates to open up the gate
Bill Gates.
of a financial realm for the church.
Which
says the
church?
Lord. I will not forget 9/11. I will not forget what took place that day. And I will not forget the gatekeeper that watched over New York, who will once again stand and watch over this nation.
Crazy. 2007.
Says the Spirit of God. It shall come to pass that the man that I place in the highest office shall go in whispering my name. But God said when he enters into the office, he will be shouting out by the power of the Spirit, for I shall fill him with my Spirit when he goes into office, and there will be a praying man in the highest seat in your land.
So again, you have to understand that the timing of all of this is very interesting while we're in a war with Iran, while we're, again, this prophetic, messianic kind of rhetoric. But still, it comes up now, right during this war with Iran.
Praying president, not a religious one, but I will fool the people, says the Lord. I will fool the people. Yes, I will. God says, the one that is chosen shall go in, and they shall say, he has hot blood. For the Spirit of God says, yes, he may have hot blood, but he will bring the walls of protection on this country.
I sure hope so.
And the economy of this country shall change.
I hope this
rapidly,
prophecy
says
is
the Lord
true.
of hosts.
You know,
Listen
that'd
to
be
the
kind
word
of dope.
the Lord. God says, I will put at your helm for 2 terms a president that will pray, but he will not be a praying president when he starts. I will put him in office, and then I will baptize him with the Holy Spirit and my power, says the Lord of hosts. Come on!
So very interesting. These are the clips that are popping up on X. Again, I say again, very interesting timing during all of this. Very interesting timing. Very interesting time to release a lot of this stuff, right? So more clips from the Trump speech here. I don't want to brag, but no other president could do some of the shit I'm doing. So let's take a look at this. Kind of agree, though. Let's kind of agree. Like, most presidents wouldn't have been able to get a lot of what he's done. Okay, I mean, he hasn't gotten much done when it comes to deportations and all of these things we care about. But at the same time, Trump has gotten a lot done. A lot done than more of these presidents have. A lot more done than a lot of these Republicans who are rhinos and these Democrats. I mean, that's true. You know, we've watched. The guy is surrounded by sharks. That's one thing that you have to understand. This is a dude who is completely surrounded by, Zionists, and that's definitely affecting and impacting the trajectory of this entire war.
No, I don't want to brag, but you know they've said this about a lot of things. No other president could do some of this shit I'm doing.
I agree. Overall, I agree.
President.
Sure.
The things I'm doing, nobody else was going to do it.
I like Trump overall. I just don't want a war with Iran. They're really trying to sell this war. They really think the American people are just going to get on board with this. And it's like, no, it's going to cost us a lot of money. We're kind of out. You know, I'd say even MAGA's out. America first only, please. Like, seriously, that's all we want, Trump. That's all we want. Iran fires 1-ton warhead missiles in 33rd degree wave of attacks. And of course, 33rd degree, you know what that means? Massive. Look at that shit. Insane. Woo! War. Are you enjoying World War III? Are you enjoying the American Golden Age? Are you enjoying the bombs and the missiles? Are you enjoying the tax cuts? Are you enjoying the transgender surgeries as long as their parents agree? Remember, that's what Trump said, as long as the parents agree. So, I don't know. I just don't really know how this is really going to benefit America at all, quite frankly. glitching out here a little bit. Again, we're just kind of looking through the Twitter X algorithm, looking through kind of what people are talking about. What are the biggest stories? Future of flight is here, POTUS, with 8 new pilot programs as part of our advanced air mobility program. Safety test futuristic aircraft that will radically change the way people and products move. Partners will show these aircraft for all kinds of scenarios, including urban air taxis, regional travel, cargo logistics, and emergency medicine. This will create one of the world's largest testing environments for next generation aircraft in states all across America. It all begins this summer. That's from Secretary Sean Duffy. And again, I wanted to play this video because this is just posted 2 hours ago. And this is kind of tapping into some of the newer tech that we're going to be having in the military and in the future, and kind of what you're going to see being deployed during this war and then in the next 10 years or so. So again, we have our Jetsons here. And that's really the idea and the theme of the future of tech and AI. All of it is supposed to mimic Star Trek and the Jetsons and all of these things, right? So this is kind of what they're building. Hopefully I don't get copyright strike for this song.
That are going to take people from one airport to the next and beyond that.
It's pretty big.
In the air. We have a president, we have a DOT that want to see those innovators innovate in America and then export them around the world. eVTOLs are going to make the airspace far more interesting and far more fun, and we have to be prepared for that and seamlessly implement their involvement.
It's about time, though. It's 2026. We should have had this like 10, 20 years ago, I feel like.
How the world is going to change, but it's going to change in the way people and products move, which is exciting. I'm excited for what the future holds. Let's win the future.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Yeah, we need more innovation in America. We need more technology. We need more innovation. We got another video from PsyOp Anime. New York is cooked. Thought this was good. We'll play this one. I'm not a big PsyOp. I don't really like anime. I'm not a huge fan of anime, but this guy made me like anime. Like all of his clips make me enjoy anime. So let's look at it. Okay, so what this is referring to, again, this refers to the Jake Lang. So it just recently, what was it, like 2 days ago, this dude who proclaimed his allegiance to ISIS threw this nail bomb at Jake Lang and his protesters for whatever they were doing. So this is kind of what that was referring to. Seriously, though, that's so accurate. That is like what's always being said. It's like, get a nail gun thrown at you, and then you're a white supremacist because you got a nail bomb thrown at you. You know, you're the bad guy. It's like, that's just such a problem in this country. By the way, this is the CEO of United. That's crazy. This guy is the CEO of United. Still think that Satanism doesn't exist? You still think that demons don't exist? Oh, they exist. That's who they are. This is who apparently runs the world. The Epstein files is what you'll find. Weird stuff. Weird people, weird stuff. Okay. So that's some of the breaking news that was hitting the X algorithm. Now we'll kind of look at some of the bookmarks I wanted to look over. We looked at some of the clips earlier from the White House and from what Trump had to say. I want to cover some of these other stories that I thought were big in the past, over the weekend. Protesters in the U.S. hang a large banner that reads, "War crimes will not hide sex crimes." They're right. This is referring to the Epstein files and all the politicians who are hiding the Epstein files. Those things need to be released. We got real victims who, ultimately, this is the American people. This is the United States. We need to have accountability for that. These people shouldn't be, we shouldn't have pedophiles running our country and then telling us to pay taxes. Like, fuck that. Fuck those people. Absolutely not. No. No thanks. Not going to abide by that. So again, this was another big clip. DD Geopolitics. While Trump builds military coalitions and bombs the Middle East, China just made its own move. Wang Yi announces zero tariffs on 100% of African imports effective May 1st. Every single African export enters China duty-free. No conditions, no military bases required, no regime changes demanded. The U.S. is spending billions in interceptors, carrier strike groups, and bombs. China is opening the largest consumer market on Earth to an entire continent. So While we're all at war, we're spending billions of taxpayer dollars on Iran. China is innovating and building their future. They're building their infrastructure. Sorry about that.
Full implementation of zero tariff access to 100% of African imports as from May the 1st. As part of China's commitment to high standard opening up,
We should be making deals with other nations, and instead of making deals with other nations, we're getting ourselves involved with these wars with other nations.
moving tariffs completely.
It's killing
to
our country.
Boost trade, to multiply benefits for the people, and to help Africa access the enormous opportunities of the Chinese market.
Yeah, like they care about the African market. They care about making China great again. China wants to make China great again, of course. But for some reason, America doesn't want to make America great again. And that's kind of my issue. And because we want to go to war with Iran while all of this is happening. Video footage reportedly shows the moment several cluster munitions, sorry, we're glitching out, where an Iranian medium range ballistic missile impacted central Israel. So again, this was more impacts in Israel, more damage that was taking place in Israel from the Iran war. Again, video of munitions that were hitting the area. Pretty crazy. Look at that guy. That guy was just barely walking there. He just barely got hit. Crazy. He just barely missed. Here's another moment that the leftist counter-protester yells, "We want everybody here to stay in New York," seconds before an Islamic terrorist throws a bomb over his shoulder. So it's like, yeah, let's keep allowing the illegals to stay in our country, and then you have an illegal immigrant, meanwhile, throwing a nail bomb over your shoulder.
And we want everyone here to stay in New York.
Look at this.
To come from outside and then tell everyone else.
Pure terrorism. These leftists have no idea. Look at this guy. Look at this face. That's a dude who has no idea what's going on. Look at these people. Totally lost. This guy's just trying to get paid. This dude is trying to be a social justice warrior, not knowing that he's just a cog in the matrix. These guys also just trying to get paid. And then you have some terrorist who literally throws a bomb behind you. Think about that. Imagine being this guy. Imagine being Jake Lang. I'm not defending Jake Lang because we know the story about Jake Lang. We know, he's not necessarily. Again, here's another video of this kid. Threw a nail bomb at Jake Lang because he didn't like what he was saying, didn't like what he was protesting or whatever. I'm not a fan of Jake Lang and the reason he was out there, whatever. A lot of that was called for because in some ways it's like you're going out there, you're antagonizing people. I get it. But it's like at the same time, it's like these people are antagonizing us. Throwing nail bombs. Look at this. We can't let these people in our country. This is not normal. This isn't normal behavior. Nobody can ever argue with me that this is a normal behavior. Maybe in a third world country, then yes. Definitely not in America. Meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, Israel bombed Russia and Lebanon. Israel bombed the House of Russian Culture in Nabatea, southern Lebanon. Russia's Rozo Trudina-Javesco has confirmed the strike and says an official statement is coming. Israel now attacked the cultural property of the UN Security Council permanent member, a nuclear-armed state. The same country whose technicians ran the Bushehr reactors that Israel also bombed. Russia has shown remarkable restraint throughout this war, maybe too much. Yeah, I agree. I think every other country has shown way too much restraint to Israel. Israel needs to be, literally sanctioned. War crimes, so many of them. President Trump is expected to end the war in Iran. Again, this is 2 hours ago from Shadow of Ezra. Declare victory after taking out Ayatollah and completely take over the Strait of Hormuz. Oil prices are currently going down and the markets are going back up. Accidentally clicked on that tweet. Gonna take me there and take forever to load. Anyways, as we wait, we know that the markets are pretty much staying the same. Until as long as we're at war with Iran, nothing's really going to change with the markets.
Washington White House reporter, I should say. And in that
Look
interview
at this.
with Wei Zhejiang, he said, "I think the war is very complete, pretty much. They have no navy,
Really?
no communications.
I don't think so.
They've got no air force." He added that the U.S. is, quote, very far ahead of the initial 4 to 5 week estimated
Definitely not.
timeframe. And then with that, we bring in Danny Denon.
I really hope Trump's right. I hope everything Trump is saying ends up being true, but I really don't see a scenario where we're going to be leaving Iran anytime soon. I just don't see that happening. Iran's going to be a 20-year war, 10, 15-year war. They don't look like Trump already made a secret phone call to Iran and said, hey, you want to stop the fighting? We should stop the fighting now. Okay, we're getting kind of crushed. And then basically Iran said, no, F you, we're going to keep on destroying you. And because you're over here starting an unprovoked war. And again, I'm not taking the side of Iranians, that's for sure. I'm not taking the side of anybody but America first. But that's my point. We shouldn't be on the other side of the planet fighting these other wars. We need to be focusing on the Western Hemisphere. I want Greenland. I want Venezuela. I want Cuba. I want America to take the countries of which we should be taking, of which we should be controlling, of which we can control, not over the Atlantic Ocean and fighting in the Mediterranean. That's just absolutely nuts. So the company Ripple also is making big moves. I keep covering them because all of this kind of ties into the war, right? $100 billion processed, 60 plus markets, 51 real-time rails, RLUSD at $1 billion market cap in under just a year. That's crazy. Ripple Payments brings it all together. Fiat, stablecoins, 75 plus licenses, and businesses can move money globally without the patchwork. So Ripple XRP is going to be, it's making moves. So eventually things are going to happen. Oil crashed 32% from $119 to $81, the biggest single day drop in history. So big things, that could be a sign that war could be ending. This was another indication that the war with Iran could possibly, potentially be ending. Eric Doherty, ships are beginning to safely make it through the Strait of Hormuz again as the U.S. military masterfully decimates the Iranian Navy. Don't think that's true. President Trump told oil tankers, show me guts, and then they have no Navy. We have sunk all their ships. Yeah, I don't think that's true, but I guess we'll see. I guess time will tell. U.S. intercepts encrypted communications believed to have originated in Iran and may serve as an operational trigger for sleeper assets outside of the country. So what this is saying is that we have sleeper cells essentially sitting here in the United States waiting to be deployed at any time. It's like, no, it's like the good reasons for being in this war, if there was any, is that we're taking care of a lot of these, these more dangerous sets of Sharia law, So, I mean, again, I'm not a fan of this war, but if there's any good purpose to it, it's that, maybe there's a way to end this hostility there. Putin, in a phone call with Trump, shares proposals to end Iran war quickly. He should take that, in my opinion. This is from Raw Alerts. Reports indicate that the United States has intercepted. Yeah, we already talked about that. Here's the video talking more about that. This is Rubio's statements on it.
The world's leading sponsor of terrorism.
Rubio's playing a big role on Cuba. If you haven't been paying attention, Marco Rubio is basically going to be deciding where things are going to be heading with Cuba and all of that.
Meantime, an alarming report of threats outside Iran. ABC News reports Iran may be activating sleeper cells. Quote, the U.S. has intercepted encrypted communications believed to have originated in
They've been in America for a long time, these sleeper cells that he's talking about.
Iran that may serve as an operational trigger for sleeper assets outside the country. If true, further illustrating Secretary of State Marco Rubio's point, we are fighting a terrorist government.
Okay.
The United States,
let's talk about Israel, though, when we're talking about a terrorist government.
Targeting the world's leading hostage taker, the world's leading sponsor of terrorism. They are trying to hold the world hostage. They are attacking their neighbors.
This is massive gaslighting from Rubio, from the Trump administration, because everything that they're saying Iran is doing this time, in this case in history, we are doing.
They are attacking neighboring countries, their energy infrastructure, their civilian population. They're attacking embassies. This is a terrorist government. This is a terroristic regime.
Right now, America's the terrorist. Israel's the terrorist.
Nation-state elements, using
That's what's happening right now.
And one-way attack drones. And the objective of this mission is to destroy their ability to continue to do that.
Yeah, they're definitely going to try to make Rubio the president, and I think that's coming up next because I think, as Trump said, Rubio's the greatest Secretary of State ever. Yeah, I definitely don't agree with that at all. Definitely not. Him, J.D. Vance, no, I'm out. Eric Doherty, again, President Trump just revealed the Iran war is very complete, pretty much. They've shot everything they have to shoot, and that's not true. They said they have 6 more months at least of military power, so whatever this quote is not true. Iran said that they'd be pretty much good to go for the next 6 months, along with China, and so they're really supporting China right now during all of this, and that's kind of what's happening. So, we're really getting ourselves into a situation we shouldn't be getting ourselves into. So this is a statement from Putin, really on his remarks towards everything happening, and that
Russian
basically he's not going to
LNG
help Europe
and
anymore,
energy.
and that basically Russia is going
All
to
the
cut
way-
off trade with Europe and a lot of these different things.
That EU countries from 25th of April plan to impose additional restrictions on Russian LNG and energy, all the way to imposing a complete ban on such supplies in 2028. In this regard, I've already instructed the government to evaluate the possibility of stopping energy supplies to the European market.
Whoa. Putin just said he's going to stop the energy supply to the European market. That is not good
Without
for
waiting
Europe.
for the door to be shut in our face. And those volumes will be shifted to other markets that are more interesting and promising to us. Right now, the market situation is developing in such a way that if we make this transition right now, if we shift to markets that really need increased supplies, we will get a stable foothold there in markets where there is reliable demand and where there are reliable long-term relations.
A lot of that depends on Trump, whether or not that Putin and Trump can have an actual communication. And if whether or not this Ukraine war can be pretty much wrapped up.
The states that are building long-term relations with Russia, constructive relationships with Russia.
And so that was Putin's statements on the matter. According to the Kabasi letter, the breaking oil prices collapsed below $84 per barrel, now down over 30%. Yeah, we're going to look at all the markets too before I wrap up this episode. Not going to make it too long. We'll probably be here a little bit longer. Won't be doing an episode today. Iran is accusing Israel of carrying out massive false flag operations against Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Cyprus, and pinning the blame on Iran. Iran claims it never launched any missiles towards those countries, and Israel was responsible. We have consistently warned against false flag operations. So these were the statements that were made by So again, we're going to start this over. We'll read some of those. Regarding the public of Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Cyprus, the General Staff of the Armed Forces explicitly and officially announced that no such projectiles were launched from within Iran or by our military forces. This is important. As for Cyprus, even British officials confirmed that no such incident took place. We've consistently warned against false flag operations. Let us not forget that there is a rogue regime in the region with a long history of such actions. Talking about Israel. The Lavon Affair, Operation Susanna in 1954 in Egypt. Is a well-known case of how the Zionist regime attempted through sabotage to drive a wedge between countries. Recently, reports have emerged that in Saudi Arabia and Qatar, they were engaged in sabotage operations. We call on all countries to exercise caution before drawing conclusions about developments in the region. So again, this is kind of what's being discussed by other nations. Hastily statements are not in the interest of friendly relations between countries of the region. Last night, a productive conversation took place between our president and the president of Azerbaijan. It was confirmed that no such action was taken by Iran, and we hope Iran's goodwill towards its neighbors will be taken into account. So what is Iran saying? That they didn't attack any of these neighboring countries, basically. That's exactly what they're saying. They're saying that the state of Israel has a history of basically conducting false flag operations to make it appear as if Iran is attacking all these allied countries. to the United States, which in reality, when we look at a lot of the evidence, when we look at a lot of different videos we're seeing on X, that could very well be a possibility. At the same time, our position remains clear. He goes on and he states, this is wild. From whenever a military threat against Iran may arise, our response is legitimate and lawful. In this case, yes. I mean, I'm not for Iran or the Muslims really, in regards to this war and ideological sense, but there is a lot of real truth to what he's saying there. Unprovoked, Iran was pretty much attacked by the United States and Israel unprovoked. The U.S. and Israel just bombed a major oil depot in Iran. After the airstrike, oil spilled from the depot into the streets, entered the sewers and drainage systems, then caught fire, creating walls of flame on the highway of Tehran. This was the first major hit on Iran's oil infrastructure in the war. So again, we kind of covered some of these hits earlier that were done on Iran. These were statements made by Brad Garlinghouse, more of those. Covered that in the morning show at 11 a.m. I usually cover. You can go back on the Brendan Ecker YouTube channel and watch that. I cover more crypto markets and what's happening there. But we cover the Clarity Act and all of these stories. So you want to hear more business content, go to the Brendan Ecker YouTube channel. We talk about geopolitics here, like this story. The U.S. has started attacking Iranian oil tankers in the Persian Gulf. That was 10 hours ago. So as Trump is saying this war is going to end, to me it looks like we're just wrapping up. We're just getting started, right? We're not wrapping up at all. We're just getting started. This is the B-2 bomber that was essentially flying over the airbase towards the Persian Gulf. U.S.-Israel strike that hit an Iranian warship off the coast of Bandar Lenge, Iran. The 82nd Airborne Division of the U.S. military has put on high alert for possible ground operations in Iran. Huge. This is big. This is big. Look at this. So we're sending troops. We're sending the troops to Iran. It's happening. It's getting done. You can't be told anymore by Lindsey Graham or Trump or the Trump administration that we're not sending troops there. We are. Troops are going to Iran. We're fighting this war. Going to be a 10 to 20-year war. Not going to be pretty for the United States. Covered a lot of these different stories and what was happening. A lot of the oil markets, all of those things. And so the markets are looking pretty, it's looking pretty shaky. We don't really know what's going to happen next, right? So at the end of the day, we know basically based on the markets right now, which we can take a look at, we'll check those out. The fear and greed index on cryptocurrency, that's actually going down. People are feeling better about investing in crypto, so that's good. XRP, the Clarity Act, Bitcoin, all of that stuff's going to be coming. That's coming very soon, I believe. There's no way around it. It's kind of has to happen. Like, how are we going to buy Greenland? How are we going to acquire all of these different countries? How are we going to have that American power if we're not really the crypto capital of the world, right? So you have XRP, you have Bitcoin, you have Cardano. All these prices are pretty much at the same. Nothing really special yet, right? The only thing we know that's different is that the fear and greed index is a little bit better than it was a week ago, where it was at like 9. Okay, the fear level was at 9. Now we're at like 22. We're getting back into the normal motions of investing. Okay, and then with the gold markets, again, gold, silver, it's kind of unpredictable right now. A lot of people think that gold's going to go up. I think a lot of people think it's going to go down. I think gold's going to hit like 10, 15,000 if we can stay out of a war with Iran. If we end up being forced to get into a war with Iran for longer than 4 to 5 weeks, as Trump said, then I definitely think it's going to take a lot of hits to gold in all of these different markets. Okay, so that's kind of where the prices of gold are at. $51.50 for gold, $87.89 for silver, $2,184 for platinum, and $1,720 for palladium. The futures markets, again, I mean, the markets kind of crashed today. They went from $119 oil prices, and look at this. Look at that crash. Look at that. That's wild. Crude oil went way down to 83. Back down to 87 for the Brent last day financial futures and the New York Harbor ULSD futures. So a lot of this was from the market being shorted by a lot of different oil investors and whatnot. But the market was shorted by a huge amount. And basically it created this entire event and this entire sequence. So with that being said, I have nothing else really for you beside My little shameless plug, be sure to work with me. You want to grow your business, be sure to work with goldsharkmedia.com. Shoot me a DM. We'll help you grow your business through lead follow-up, through automation. I build CRMs. I'm pretty good with AI systems and kind of really putting together a system that actually kind of that can generate you income, right? We built our own software that pretty much sends your emails for you. It has a dashboard that you pretty much optimize yourself, multi-location plus multi-user support. Advanced marketing automation, email, SMS, ringless, all that stuff. Branded client plus team portal. So basically that just means you can white label our software as your own. Dedicated account manager, conversational AI employee, support agent plus sales assistant, WhatsApp plus iMessage, deep integration. A lot of these things just to really make sure that you're constantly getting clients. Okay, so those are some of our other clients that we've worked with. Got our FAQ here. Again, it's goldsharkmedia.com. Grow your business and let's work together. Right? I'm also a real estate agent. Shoot me a DM. We'll help you get your next real estate deal. We'll help you figure it all out. Okay, so with that being said, that's pretty much all I have to say for what's going on in the X algorithm. But I also wanted to harp on, how important it is that as Americans, we remember that this war with Iran, these wars that we're getting into, it's not going to benefit the United States if we're not the ones that are winning and benefiting the most. Right? If the state of Israel is benefiting more than America during all of this, then you need to ask the questions. So I don't think this is going to be a good war for the United States. Not going to be good for America overall. Usually I do a 7 p.m. show, but because Trump's speech was at 5:30, we're going to keep it to this episode. So rewatch this one back. We'll cover all of the newest news tomorrow at 7 p.m. and all of the new stories that are coming on that. So also be sure to check out the channel at 11 a.m. on Monday through Thursday for the market updates. Half an hour to 45 minutes to an hour. Depends on what the day is like. We'll check out the market. We'll check out what's going on. And with that being said, I got nothing else. Stay prudent, stay powerful, and stay wealthy.